U.S. and Ukraine negotiators are set to meet in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday to discuss an agreement with Russia. Joining me now is Greg Sullivan, Bloomberg's Russia economy and government editor. The fact that this meeting is even happening is big progress from where we were, say, 10 days ago after that disastrous Oval Office meeting between President Zelenskyy and President Trump. So at least they're talking again. The delegations are planning a meeting this week. But what is the expectation out of what could happen in Saudi Arabia the next few days?
Well, I think what you said was crucial here, is that for Ukraine, they just need to keep talking. The meeting at the White House was very disastrous. This is a high-stakes meeting for Ukraine. They want to stay at the table. They need to stay at the table. This is their fight. But with the U.S. suddenly reversing and seeming to align with Russia, they're really worried that their security priorities will not be taken into consideration in any sort of ceasefire deal. Obviously, the U.S. shut off military aid, which was hard for Ukraine, but they can continue to fight. But the military intelligence was even more crucial.
Yeah.
So that's put Zelenskyy in a very tough spot.
Yeah, and of course, he did send that letter to President Trump, and he spoke about that in his address to Congress. So there have been some remediation steps, I would say, in the last couple of days. What do we know about what Russia are saying about the potential for this temporary truce?
So there's two factors here. One is that for Russia, time is on their side. They are continuing to fight and make progress. We saw some movement in the Kursk region that strengthens their hand at the negotiating table. But we also know from Kremlin officials, from people in Moscow, that there may be a willingness to come to a ceasefire, but under certain conditions from Moscow. They do have an upper hand on the battlefield. They are going to demand certain considerations. And for Ukraine, it's key that their considerations also be taken into account by the U.S. And right now, we just see no sign from the U.S. that they are willing to do that. They do seem to be aligning with Russia.
And just lastly, I mean, I've asked some of our other colleagues the same question. Why Saudi Arabia?
Well, for one reason is that they can be a neutral player. Obviously, in Europe, the Russians do not see Europe as neutral players. Europe sees their own security issues at stake here in this conflict. But a lot of Gulf countries have actually helped mediate. We've seen the Russia-U.S. talks happen in Saudi Arabia. We've seen other states like U.A.E. help mediate prisoner exchanges. But the other thing is that Saudi wants to be a regional power. And for them, this is a way to sort of exercise that and come to the global stage in that manner.